So today I want to talk about the Copper Cove Sewer Collection System Valuation Hydraulic Modeling. So here to kind of get concurrence from the engineering committee to develop a hydraulic model for the Copper Cove wastewater collection system. The 2026-27 department budget includes funding for an I&I study, but as we dug into it, staff recommends the completion of a hydraulic model first to establish a technical foundation for the system. Evaluating the actual conditions using the model during the seasonal variations. So comparing winter and summer, that type of stuff in the model will give us a more accurate idea of our I&I coming into the system. Because with the system, there's so many lift stations, a traditional I&I study where you put the flow monitors in the manholes doesn't really give you a true picture of what's going on. So basically the Copper Cove sewer system consists of 4 sewer basins, and they're connected by gravity or lift stations and force mains. So excessive I&I or infiltration and inflow increases the pumping, the treatment, and the storage in Pond 6. So the hydraulic model will evaluate the lift station performances, identify hydraulic constraints, support a wastewater system water balance, guide future capital improvements, evaluate lift station consolidation opportunities, and look for ways to reduce energy use and optimize the operations of these lift stations. And kind of establish design criteria for future lift station and rehabilitation projects. We have a couple upcoming projects on our CIP, including the cross-country force main. This will help us guide the proper size for that pipeline. And identify bottlenecks and prioritize the projects based on the results of the I&I study and the hydraulic model. So we expect this will be a multi-year effort with staffing limitations, and there's a lot of the data that has to be collected off our existing SCADA system, off our as-builts for all the lift stations we have around Copperopolis and the existing collection system. So we currently have budgeted $120,000 for professional services in this fiscal year. And so we intend to use that money for the phase 1, kind of the hydraulic modeling effort. And so we're kind of requesting concurrence from the engineering committee to move forward with advertising RFP for a consultant services to design a hydraulic model for our Copperopolis sewer system.
You have anything to add?
Yeah, Kevin, I don't have any problem with approving this as requested, but I just have to ask you a question. You've got a multi-year thing, and you've got phases 1 through 4, and you've got smoke testing in phase 3. I've got some experience with smoke testing. I had a sister that had a mobile home park down in Mississippi and had a gravity sewage system flowing through there. First thing I did was smoke test. Why wouldn't you do the smoke test if the overall objective here, or one of the important objectives, is to identify places where you're getting storm water into the water collection system? That it seems to me very intuitively that you would do smoke testing with our forces, not a consultant. Just find out where the smoke's coming out of the ground, if it's coming out of the ground.
Yeah, we could do smoke testing. We have the equipment to do it. So I think that task would be done by our in-house staff. But yeah, it tends to be when you want to do the smoke testing, obviously during the dry season, when you have, and then you identify where the smoke's coming from, and then you could look in the wet season to see the difference in I&I, to see how much that was contributing to it if you shut off. But we're looking at historical data first for the lift stations. So we want to try to identify where we should target the smoke testing at. So by doing the model first, and we're going to create a model with all the lift stations, how many connections are in between those lift stations, what lift station's pumping to the next lift station. And then by doing that, you can identify where the INI is at, and then you can do a targeted search for the leaks. But yes, you could do a wholesale. If you wanted to go do the whole system at first and smoke test the entire network, you could do that. But in order to identify where the INI is coming from, you'd want to do the study first, so you could target where to do the smoke testing, so you could get the most benefit out of that smoke testing. Was the way we were looking at it, but there's no reason why we can't get ahead of it and start doing the smoke testing earlier on.
Well, if you want to do it in the dry season, what are we doing tomorrow? Let's start it tomorrow.
Actually, we got the CCTV truck, so
Just
we have the crews going down to lock and tenant, because that's our last step in that INI study we've been working on, is the consultant identified areas that we found INI come into our system. So we're going to go video camera those areas first. So they're busy working for us already. And
okay, well, it's not my job to.
yeah, I think it's really important. That's something that's smoke testing is something that's low cost, and you can do it fairly quickly.
I think I remember hearing something with you. You got 3 or 4 of those smoke generators and set them on the top of a manhole and see where the smoke's coming out. Anyway, that's just my suggestion. I would be in favor of taking this to the board if we could move that smoke testing up to earlier in the phases. It doesn't make any sense to do it in year 3 after you've spent all the money to analyze the data. You might find a big hole that you could plug that would help in your analysis. So.
I don't think the smoke testing replaces this, though. Kevin, you want to touch on that?
No, I don't. I'm not suggesting that it replaces it. I just it's a very rudimentary, tried and true method to find out where the water is flowing into your system, and to see it looked like to me that they're anticipating doing the smoke testing in year 3, and I'm suggesting that it would be beneficial to do it with our forces early. If the consultant wants to do it later, then fine. But
yeah, no, definitely. And so our model should be to tell us when we have inflow, which would be the smoke testing, where the water is directly flowing into the collection system. But yeah, that if we can get an estimate on how much water that we think is flowing in through that, if there's a crack in the pipe, we can deduct that from the model, and we can accurately. So yeah, I definitely think we should do it as soon as possible, and we can move that up in the phases.
okay, that's all I had.
All right, okay, I have no problem with moving this forward as well. Is there any public comment? You don't need a motion or anything, we just. All right. Thank you. Evans Pass Master Plan, Chase.
Good afternoon. So it's been a while since we've talked about the Ibis Pass Water Master Plan. Just as a reminder, this is really, it's centered around a hydraulic model, and part of the hydraulic model is to help identify, deficiencies, analyze water age, disinfection of byproducts, but also, well, primarily is also look at what type of actions that we're going to derive from the hydraulic model for our 20-year capital improvement plan. So where we're at currently is we've been spending most of our time on the hydraulic model. We have developed static and residual pressures that have a level of confidence that's enabled us to move forward towards reviewing fire flows. But we're at a point now where we're just now looking at that and analyzing it and working with our team. And one thing I could say is that we have district staff and HydroScience have spent quite a bit of time together to collect more field data to actually analyze this and tighten it up. And I think we're actually have quite a few confident results, more confident than we had in previous models for the service area. Anyways, that's where we're at. We're expected to finish by the end of this upcoming calendar, or this calendar year.
All right, what do you need from us?
Nothing, just an update.
I just have, Chase, I have one question. This mentions the possibility of fire flow and emergency interconnections. What agencies are you analyzing that possibility with?
So the first one would be UPUD. And that's one of the reasons are now moving on from static residual and onto fire flow is to really look at the capacity of our existing system and see how much water we could actually supply right now in excess or in surplus with where we're proposing to connect. We don't have a number as far as like how much water we could provide them at this point, nor do we know the total flow regime that they'd be requesting, but we're still looking at that and developing it.
Thank you. Arnold Sewer Master Plan.
Where'd he go?
All right, so the Arnold Sewer Master Plan, similar to Copper Cove, is seeing where our water is coming from and evaluating our existing system. And if we do have a large I&I issue, is to help reduce that going to the plant, as well as analyze plant operations and then lift stations and all other existing sewer infrastructure. So where we're at right now is that we're still primarily focusing on flow data collection, which you might notice in the agenda. It did talk about that we lost some critical time during some rain events to observe some I&I. As of right now, the rain events that we had collected, it looks like I&I preliminarily where the flow meters are installed have not collected a significant amount of I&I. However, I was not satisfied with just settling and saying we don't have a large I&I issue when we can look at the inflow going into the treatment plant, especially when we look at the existing permit that we have. We have like around 50% exceedances right now, which we're doing treatment plant improvements right now to handle the additional capacity, but also at the same time trying to seek out where our problems are and solve them. So, talking with our consultants, they're kind of worried that, perhaps there isn't that much I&I in the system. However, I've rephrased it. Well, we just found where it isn't coming from. It's coming from somewhere. So we've at least eliminated a large area. And then we're still looking at, so where we had the lost data, I've been working with our consultants as far as like extending our data collection into the following rain season to actually try to capture what we missed, but also find whatever I&I is in the system.
What can you expand on these potential consolidation opportunities with nearby CCWD wastewater facilities?
Yes, so that's we have a couple of disconnected facilities or areas, and we're looking at meaning connecting those. That way, so like one area is that Sequoia Woods has a leach field, and that area is pretty much at capacity and is in need of attention. So I'm actually planning on meeting with our consultant and actually, for one, visit the site, explain the issues, show them the issues, but then looking at potential alternatives as far as intertie connections and paths. So, and then at the same time, we're going to go through and evaluate the lift stations in the area. And that'd be part of the conversation as far as where we're actually planning on connecting those systems.
This firm that you mentioned, the engineers Verdantis, is it the former Brewstead?
Yes. It was just more, again, it was just an update, no action necessary.
All right, what's this thing? Lake Tolokinkai? Kevin?
Yeah, so I was here to talk about the preliminary bid results for the Lake Tolokan intertie. So we're seeking feedback from the engineering committee for the board consideration. As you know, this project is a very important project. It installs a new 12-inch water main along O'Burns Ferry Road, and it connects the C zone to the Poker Flat area and eliminates the reliance on the existing underground Lake Tolokan crossing. It's funded through the private placement loan number 2. The engineer estimate was $7.8 million. We received 14 bids, so a huge turnout. So the The parent low bidders was R Sutton Enterprises at 4.99 million. Second place, Ford Construction at 5.37. Mazinga was third at 5.63. Then Garney at 5.68 and TNS at 5.69. So we really had really tight numbers between 2, 3, 4, and 5 bids. We did get one question the night before the bid results. There was something missed in the bid. As far as the coating on the pipe, so there'll probably be about $150,000 to $200,000 add to this bid once we award it. So what's that?
Who are we awarding?
I don't know. We're evaluating. There's a number of processes that need to happen to complete the evaluation of the bid, to confirm the responsiveness, the contractor's qualifications, the references. And then obviously we have the budget.
Who's the low bidder?
Sutton.
Sutton.
Yeah.
Well, we're familiar with everybody on that list.
Yeah, we had a lot of good bidders, and so a number of people that don't normally bid our projects. Some big outfits from the Bay Area came. So
Bidders, wow. Amazing.
yeah, and we were well below the engineer's estimate. I was a little concerned before the bid because we were hearing from contractors that price of ductile iron pipe has gone up 20%. The asphalt prices have gone up, but it seemed to be really competitive. I don't know if it's a lack of work out in the market right now or what's driving the lower prices, but we got some good prices. And so we wanted to get, we don't really have who we're selecting yet, but I wanted to get permission to bring this back to the board.
All right, you have any questions?
When this comes back to the board, will it come with a plat that shows the footprint of this project and what we're eliminating and where the pipeline's going to go?
Yeah, we can bring a drawing of the limits of the project and the underwater crossing and that type of stuff to show what the project does.
And I don't know whether I am imagining this or what, but it seems like I heard the possibility mentioned of adding a storage tank somewhere down in the area of on a small parcel of land that we have by Copper Cove Drive.
Yeah, I think that'd be the next phase in the future. I don't think that'd be something we want to do now. We do have some some available budget, but I don't think we're prepared to do that as part of this project.
I would encourage you to look carefully at that if you were anticipating it being close to 8 million and it came in at 5, that what would be the cost of the tank? Anyway, so I have no problem with recommending that you bring this to the board, but just those plats would be helpful.
No problem.
Yes? Public comment?
Good afternoon, Ralph Copeland, Copperopolis. I don't understand why the bid results aren't published at opening.
We usually post the bid tallies online, but as far as the
Are the tallies online?
yeah, we can post them. We have a public bid opening and the results are available here during the public opening.
Right, and usually you put that out for public consumption.
We can put it on the website.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. That concludes that item. Okay, 4E electrical standards update. Juan?
Afternoon, directors.
Afternoon, one.
Over the past few months, district staff have worked with A-Team, this electrical engineers, to develop a new set of electrical design and construction standards for the district. And I'm happy to inform that we are near completion of the set of standards and drawings. The scope includes updating electrical design criteria, instrumentations and controls requirements, SCADA integration, division 16s, technical specifications, and standardized electrical details for developed driven and CIP projects. As part of the work efforts, there's going to be 41 electrical standards that should be included in the package. These drawings will standardize details, control schematics, RTU layouts, infrastructure diagrams, and typical installations. And some of the facilities that are going to be included in the drawings are going to be lift stations, booster stations, storage tanks, and other district facilities. Also, there's going to be 12 electrical standard specification sections. These are going to establish uniform requirements for electrical equipment, installation methods, testing for instrumentation and control systems. A list of the topics of the titles are included in the sheet, but it's hundreds of pages, so we decided not to include them at this point. If you have any questions on those, I can answer them.
Questions?
I have a question for you. Did you notice that there is an error in this diagram, this electrical diagram?
You know what? I can install a ceiling fan. About the limit of my electrical,
Well,
much else.
same here. At this point, staff is completing final review and incorporating a minor revisions. Complete electrical design standards package will be presented to the board for formal approval. Following completion, staff plans to begin a comprehensive update of the district civil design and construction standards, since many of the portions of the civil standards are outdated, and will help ensure that the future infrastructure investment meets the district long-term operational and maintenance objectives. Financial consideration, the engineering department budgeting included funding for standard updates in the current fiscal year, and consultant services for this project will be funded from this existing allocation.
Just have one other question. One, we've been working with A-Team, and the reason I'm asking this question is on the previous item, we had 14 people bidding. I just want to make sure that there's nothing in these standards that would be construed by outside bidders as being unique to Calaveras County. That A-Team would be giving us stuff that's consistent throughout the region, that everybody would be bidding with an open mind or clear vision of what they're bidding. Is that?
Yeah, my limited experience with electrical is when I was working with our electrical staff, the great crew, Brian, Tony, Craig. It sounds like they speak the same language with A-Team, Sharon. It sounds to me this is really standardized equipment, and we've been working with them it sounds like for many, many years. So I truly believe it's probably standard, and it's something everybody can bid on. But Kevin, you want to add to it?
Yeah, I think the goal of this was to standardize our electrical, basically standardize it, because right now we have, one consultant working on Arnold, another one working on the Hunters. We got developers working for CV development. We got people working in North Vista Plaza. They're all different electrical engineers working on these projects. So in order to have a standard set of drawings that we require, so all of the equipment we have at all these different facilities is the same and it meets our standard, it's really hard to explain. Right now, we don't have electrical standards. So when a new developer comes along, we have to give them plans from another project. We like a lift station like this. We like it, or set up like this, because this is what we did before. And now we have a standardized plan. So we can give this to, if you're doing a pump station, here's what your electrical diagram is supposed to look like. And it's going to look the same for every single pump station we have. So that when our guys work on it, they got the parts and they know how everything's wired. At least in the new stuff, it'll all be the same.
Has electrical technology changed much?
No, the basics has been there. There's a lot of changes in the materials we use. The PLCs, But yeah, a lot of the details and stuff is the way that the panels are set up has been similar for years.
But that's exactly why I was asking the question is standardization is a very good thing. And it also could have some beneficial outcomes and like the mutual assistance things that, you know, we have something that's broken and can't get it online. Maybe they've got over in Tuolumne County, they've got one on the shelf. So I would really encourage you to pursue that type of standardization.
Yeah, and they can actually attach these standard drawings to the back of designs. You know, and they can include them in there, just like we include our standard drawings for all our pipe details and stuff. They can include these, and then we know if they got our standards in there, they're building it the way we want it.
So you and I can carve out some time to review these. All right?
If it hums, I don't touch it.
If it hums or smokes. Thanks, Juan.
Thank you.
Any
Okay,
public comment on that one?
Arnold secondary clarifier project update. Chase?
All right, again, this is just a more of a project status update. It's been a while since you've heard about this project. And since we last talked, construction has started. So I actually have just a couple of pictures that I'd like to share with you. So just for one, just as a reminder, you know, this project is centered around the construction of a new secondary clarifier, expansion of our aerobic digesters, metering box, flow splitter box, a new control building, and a new wholesale electrical and control system upgrade. So construction did start in April. Of course, starting construction was clearing and grubbing. And then initially what's can take place is, well, let me just backtrack. Sorry, is before I get into the pictures and get into construction. So as of right now, we are moving into construction. As part of this, for one, we're on schedule, on track. Things are going quite smoothly so far. But we do have one change order that we're working on that we're going to bring to the board here in a little bit. So part of this project, you know, to receive USDA funding for reimbursements, we do have to adhere to, you know, CEQA and NEPA requirements. And part of that is to have tribal cultural resource protection and monitoring. So as part of this, we have had tribal monitoring for all of our construction so far and will into the future. But as of right now, we don't have an agreement in place that the USDA has on file and has agreed upon for reimbursement with our loan. So part of this is we're going to continue to schedule tribal monitoring up until that time. We do have an agreement in place. I did talk with the Calaveras band of Miwok this morning with Deborah Grimes and talked briefly. So she has an agreement that I had our legal counsel review and then I forwarded on. As of right now, she liked the terms and the total estimated amount for the tribal monitoring is $130,488 for the duration of the project. You know, unfortunately, that's it's just price of doing business. And you have to have somebody on site whenever there is excavation taking place. And we do have just a considerable amount of excavation taking place in this project, and also excavation taking place over quite a few days, not only for the structures, but also for all the pipe and conduit placement. So that is, as of right now, a number that has been thrown out there that we're negotiating. Deborah has briefly looked at the schedule and time and days that I estimate for her to be on site or have her staff on site to monitor. Again, as we get closer towards signing, I'm sure she'll maybe have some comments, but we're pretty close. So I just wanted to share that with you before I dive into the fun stuff and actually constructing things. So anyways, Haley, would you mind moving to the next slide? I have the power. So what we started with is for this season, we're going to be focusing on all of the concrete structures. So in this case, that would be the digester, the flow splitter box, the meter box, the secondary clarifier, and then they're looking at wrapping up the new control building by the end of summer. Part of this work is also going to include some of the piping install. But as of right now, what's been discussed with KB Emerson is that that's going to be the primary focus up until November. So what you see here is some photos of the aerobic digester. Really, it's from the rebar placement in the pad, the forming of the walls, and then you see a pump, filling up the walls. And forms are being stripped this week for the walls, but as far as I can tell, as far as the concrete pour so far, it's been a clean pour, and the construction looks pretty good. And here we have just a meter box, just one of the structures in place here. So again, you see the forming of the pad, the rebar placement, the pour, and then now they're working on the interior walls. Later this week, they're actually going to start tying up the rebar for the meter box. Exterior walls will be formed next week, and then I anticipate the pour for that structure to happen in the next week and a half or two. And it will likely coincide with this pouring the flow splitter box, which you can see two boards there. They're just now working on the pad for it. And given it's not a very large pour, they're going to pour both at the same time. And then our new control building, what we have here is we'd started excavating the pad, and we did have monitoring on site for that, just to make sure we protect the tribal cultural resources. But what we did find is we actually found some conduit and also a 6-inch effluent line that's within the limits of the new control building. Part of that also has a retaining wall. So right now we're kind of figuring out what a work change directive is going to look like as far as relocating those lines. But in general, that's where we're at right now with construction. And I expect the progress to pick up as we move further into the season, especially when we have. So as of right now, what you didn't see was the excavation or the start of construction for the secondary clarifier. The forms are prefabricated, and we're expecting those to show up here in a few weeks. And of course, that's going to look the most extravagant. It's going to be excavations to be 16 to 18 feet deep and 40-foot clarifier, or 40-foot diameter clarifier rather. And that one's gonna be interesting and fun to be a part of. So anyways, that's where we're at. So as far as a budget amount, as of right now, we're around 5% complete. What you didn't hear is a lot of the controls, instrumentation, and other fabricated equipment. Those have long lead times, and we're not expecting those to be on site and installed until the next construction season, so next spring, 2027.
I didn't look up the budgeted amount for this whole project, but it says it's 5% complete, and you submitted 552,000. That would indicate to me that it's $11 million project. Is that?
So it is. So we have, what was it? The loan amount is for 10.4.
That's pretty.
10.4 million. So I think it was more of like a rounding. If I add more decimals there, you'd probably see a difference to be able to calculate. But yeah, the loan amount was for 10.4. The contract amount was for 8 and change. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. But we are looking at some additional improvements that we would want to make to this plant to help as part of this with this loan that we have. So we're looking at doing some filter upgrades. We're also looking at possibly some oxidation ditch upgrades, some painting of our existing facilities. There's some other attention that we could dedicate the remaining funds outside of the contracted amount for this construction, for this project.
Well, you used a phrase of the cost of doing business with this CBMI issue. It would seem to me that there might be some justification for just approaching these things from a standpoint of budgeting 1%. Say, Deborah, this is what we can afford to pay. This is 1% of the value of the project, and not to exceed, because the county got really devastated with constantly increasing costs by tribal issues on that wagon wheel extension.
Yeah, one of the hardest parts with for one, tribal resource cultural protection or monitoring is, for one, you don't know what you're going to find, and also what laws do we have to adhere to. So in this case, we have to adhere to AB 52. So, what does that require of us? And then also, what's authorized for the tribe? So in this case, tribe has a right to be on site to ensure that all resources are protected, all cultural resources are protected. The rates are determined by the tribe, and the scope of work when it comes to excavating. There's room there to negotiate what's reasonable on site, but there's a lot of that is determined by the tribe as well, in accordance with AB 52. So we have a good working relationship with Deborah, and as of right now, things have been going smoothly. And as far as the amount of hours that have been on site, thus far have been, I would say, reasonable. There've been areas where she could have imposed, having monitors on site for certain activities, but doing a cursory review and saying, we don't need to have a staff member on site to monitor for that 8-hour day. So there definitely is some, we call it savings in that respect. So we're still working together, and we're going to work together for the time to come for all projects in our area, for many projects in our area. So,
All right. Anything else?
no, that would be it for this agenda item.
Anything else by you?
I guess I'll continue to believe in the tooth fairy.
All right. Okay. Where are we at? AMI projects, additional purchases?
Okay, so this is as you remember, we bought some PRV flow monitors in the past with these remaining funds. It turns out we have another $250,000 or $290,000 that's available to spend remaining grant funds out of this project. So we're requesting concurrence for the use of the remaining funds to purchase materials. So the original project included $15 million of a loan and $1 million of grant. The loan funds had to be expended before you can get into the grant funds can apply. So we couldn't use like $4 million of loan money and $1 million of grant to complete the AMI project. We had to use the $5 million of grant first, and then $5 million of loan first, and then we have $1 million of grant. And the USDA is really pressing us to use the rest of these funds because they're difficult to return back.
Have the design plans for the director's lounge yet, or?
No. So it has to be projects that relate to the existing projects. So some of the proposed purchases were to support water loss reduction, system monitoring, and asset management, which are kind of key goals of the AMI project. So the proposed purchase was we bought these PRV monitors and some materials that we need to buy to help us install these monitors, some valves and piping. And then we wanted to purchase 5 additional 6-inch Mueller meters that are compatible with the AMI system. These would be for locations that there is no PRV. So this would be a new, basically looks like a magnetic meter that would go in a concrete vault. And we could put these in strategic locations to monitor areas where we have historical water losses, or we think there's a value in monitoring that flow in and out of a specific pressure zone or service area. And then we also wanted to purchase survey grade GPS equipment for GIS mapping, asset management, and CIP planning. So this would be we were looking at, we've reached out to several of the leading manufacturers of the GPS equipment, and all the top tier GPS equipment is pretty much priced about the same.
What is that level?
About $60,000 it'd be a base station, a rover, and these would be able to talk to a network. So you could set up you could either use the rover on its own and talk directly with the network, or you could use the network to set up a base point. And then you could set your base station up on that and then use your rover, or you can use 2 rovers. The base station can be converted to a rover, and you can use that to survey 2 points at the same time. So the advantage of being able to set a base station up, you pay by the hour for subscription to this network. So you can reduce your cost by going out and setting base station points throughout our service area on the hourly rate. And then from then on out, you can just use the base station and the rover. So we looked at Topcon as kind of the company that kind of came to the top. They offer a really robust network in our area. They have several these permanent GPS base stations set up, you know, in Sonora, in Jackson, Jalen and Jackson, that would reach both West Point. We could reach all the way up to Dorrington, and we could reach all the way down to Copperopolis with their network. They offer training resources. They have ongoing service. They have like a training facility, and I think in the Bay Area, and it's highly recommended by survey professionals that we talk to. So that was one of the things we want to buy. And then, so we have basically, we gave our proposals to the USDA for those 3 items. It comes out to about $220,000. And we have available $297,000. So that gives a little bit of a buffer in case there's some additional purchases we need to purchase to make these installs. So we're looking for concurrence from the engineering committee. If one of these individual purchases over $100,000, we'll bring that back to the board in accordance with our purchasing policy.
Have you used that GPS survey equipment?
Back in the day, I'd use it for machine controls when we were digging canals. We would set the dozers up with Topcon equipment and it would automate the controls on the dozers. But it's been a while and technology has improved since then.
And the prices come down. When I was using it, it cost about $100,000, but
Yeah, the prices have come down substantially. I mean, that's basically 2 full units for the $60,000. And it used to be that you had to have the base station all the time. And the range on the radios used to be really short. Now you got like, 10 miles range or something?
With the real time, with the networks that are in place, has up to a 30-mile radius. That's with high quality tube location. And the vertical also is say within 1500s, 30 miles away. Then when you tie into your base station at 30 miles, but then if you have an point, now you're down to your 200s.
There's lots of times when this would be a really handy tool for like, if you have a manholes, you know, you're trying to figure out the slope between 2 manholes and you need to find that millimeter accuracy between the flows to, you know, or if we got a line extensions or once we transition to the asset management, if we get some more robust GIS program going, we can use this to, tag where all our facilities are at.
I just have one last question on that. When I was using it overseas, we were connected with up to 6 satellites. So does this have the ability to connect with satellites?
Yeah, this connects with the glass nose, the GPS, a bunch of different networks.
I would say on a bad day now, you're connected to 27. I have seen over 40. You have GLONASS, Galileo. You have Chinese, Russian, American, and also some private satellites that you're able to find.
That's amazing.
Also Indian, yeah.
And that helps with, when you're using up in Arnold and stuff where you have tree cover, the more satellites you have, you're still able to get accuracy even with tree cover.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking about the old days,
Well, I have to go back and visit once in a while.
like theme music.
Eh,
All right, anything else?
No, I think we got a public comment.
Yeah, and maybe for the last item too, I don't know if we asked for public comment there, but let's see where it goes.
Okay, yeah, we have public comment. Is that Francisco?
Yes, sir. I was waiting until the last item. If you want to go to the last item, I can wait for the public comments on item 4G.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, well, you know my name as a result of past limitations with a live public comment format, I submitted a comprehensive line-by-line technical statement of non-reconciliation directly into the written correspondence record. And I'd request that you open that submittal right now as I speak and you can follow along. This afternoon, you're being asked to approve requests for proposals, master plans, and capital outlays that prove this district is executing its finances completely backwards. If you look at item 4A, staff admits the district lacks the flow data to understand bottlenecks or excess water is leaking, requiring multi-year modeling phase. If you look at item 4C, your consultant completely lost critical sewer data between March and May, forcing a long-term planning delay into 2028. And lastly, in item G, where the district is now scrambling to use leftover funds to buy baseline survey grade GPS equipment to finally perform basic asset mapping and asset inventory. Look at these facts. You don't have a completed system map. You don't have a verified sewer flow data. You are now missing critical baseline information. Yet on July 16th, just 48 hours from now, this district is automatically raising water rates by 7% and sewer rates by 6% under the claim that these projects are an immediate, mathematically calculated necessity. My submitted report shows that every single fiscal impact section in this packet is devoid of real metrics. You are prescribing major financial surgery to county ratepayers before you have even completed the basic system x-rays. The numbers are in your ledger. The deficits are in your data. And I'll refer the board to the written statement for full forensic roadmap. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other public comment? Okay, we'll move on to 4H, developer updates.
Good afternoon. Here for the developer projects that the district's working with in a couple of our service areas. Mostly they're focused in Copperopolis and La Cantera. I'll go over the Copperopolis projects. One of the major ones is in Coppertown Squares. We're working on a force main and lift station project with CV Development out of Coppertown, which they're proposing a force main development going from our existing lift station to the lift station in Saddle Creek subdivision. And that is about 19,000 linear feet of sewer force main, which would be at 6-inch size. And they received $12 million in BOLD program funding for these projects, which is the force main and the improvements that will be needed to the existing lift station. We received the preliminary alignment design for the force main, and we're waiting on the deposits for us to start reviewing the project and move that project forward for the developer. CEQA documentation was completed last year when we were working on the Reed's Turnpike pump station. So the Reed's Turnpike pump station is also part of this, part of the improvements. It is to supply the water treatment, treated water to the Copperopolis tank so that it can supply the proposed developments and the ongoing developments that are happening in the Coppertown Square. Currently, we have acquired the easements. The contractor that is hired for the job, Moyle Excavation, they have completed submittals for, well, I don't think they're fully finished. They have for the major items that have long lead times. They have been submitted to the district and have been approved by the district. So we're expecting construction to begin here shortly. So for that project, and there's other small infill projects that are going on at Coppertown Square, which there's building 12 and building 15. They were part of the original 2007 plan that was submitted. So those are being constructed as of right now. And they had submitted plans and district provided feedback on those. So there's another plan for where the developer is proposing townhomes at the southeast corner of that Coppertown Square, which we provided feedback to their designer and awaiting for the final plans to be reviewed and completed from our side. anything on the Copperopolis before we go on to the North Vista Plaza?
What about, the force main on Little John has been, like a week from Tuesday, they're gonna start, but that's been, the last 5 or 6 years. What is the reality?
So we did, I mean, they are working with a design firm that has been responsive. And they just submitted a preliminary design on that, and their funding wasn't secured before. So now that they have the funding through BOLD program, and they're actually moving forward with these projects.
When that work comes out to bid, will the bids be submitted to CV, or will we handle the?
So CV Development will be submitting the bid. They will be the ones that will be handling the bid process. But we will have to review the submittals and all the products that, all the equipment that they'll have to use. And since it's part of the BOLD program, they'll have to pay the prevailing wages for this, for the development of this project.
It seems to me that it'd have to have completed drawings before they could secure a loan. I mean, how do they know what it's going to cost?
Yeah, BOLD program, I think, just to add to that, BOLD program works off of it's the bond on the land development. So it's basically, they based off of what their infrastructure's cost is, or what their net worth value is, based off that they issue a bond. So that bond is to help with the sewer and water infrastructure for the municipalities. Is that okay? So moving on to the Jenny Lind service area, we've been working with LGI Development for a couple of years. Their plans were approved a while ago, but they've been working on the design element for the lift stations that were being proposed for that development. And we just approved the final design for the second lift station. And the force main design was already approved. We got some feedback from the review that was to be conducted by Caltrans to allow to allow the encroachment permit to move forward for the developer. So that is finalized. And so they are moving forward with the build out or construction of the lift stations and the force main. They've done some submittal work on the force main part, and those submittals were approved and materials were sent back to the contractor that they have for this job. It seems like and for the other water and sewer utilities for the development, it seems like there is some activity going on site where the contractor has mobilized some equipment, and there's a lot of grading work that has to be done, cut and fill, that they will have to do before they can actually start digging for the utilities and have get the pads ready. When we were talking to the developer, they seemed on board with the job for the lift stations to be done in the next 12 months. And moving on to the Jenny Lind Elementary School lift station force main, that project is in construction. They ran into some issues where the utilities that were not highlighted in the drawings before, they showed up as conflicts. And so the designer had to go back and move some of the proposed alignment had to be shifted in a couple of segments. So they submitted those plans to the district for approval, and they were reviewed by the district staff last week, and they're still moving forward with the construction. Most of the construction part so far has been on site at the school site. And so those are the ongoing projects that we have at the district. But we are still in continuous talks with the county. County has this pre-application process that they have implemented any new development or any interested party in any new development. They actually go through the pre-application with all the utility companies in the place or fire departments and the county, planning department, building department, and environmental department, just to go over what it would take for that development to be successful. And we have had talks with some of the applicants for that have been interested in developing some of the projects. One of the projects was the 12 and at the intersection of 12 and 26. So far, they said they've been working in the background.
Wait, where?
That at the intersection of 12 and 26 in Jenny Land. That's the one across from Chevron gas station. Yeah. So they had grand plans before, but I think that they've shrunk it down to a smaller phase improvement where they want to do car wash, gas station, and just a fast food restaurant as an initial phase. All the other proposed development that they had for residential, hotel, that have been kind of sidelined at this point. Based on all those, with all the work that we've been getting from all the developers and contractors, we've been trying to keep track of all that in our software that we have.
Are we still do concept approval?
Yes, sir.
That's something that this committee could get a sense of, a list of what projects we've given concept approval.
We could provide that, yeah. I mean, this one's still in the review process, right?
Which ones, sir?
The one you were just talking about.
The 12 and 26.
Yeah.
We provided them with the concept review, and that was the last that was heard from. We've been in contact with the county. Every time we have a meeting with the county, we do discuss as to if there's any improvements that have been made by the developers in that.
So the order is we give them a concept approval. Then the next phase is for them to satisfy facilities agreement with us.
Yeah, submit a submittal based on our review of their concept.
I mean, before that happens, there's still the process of if the final map has to be accepted by the county or the TSDM has to be accepted by the county with whatever preliminary conditions they implement on that. Yeah. So we're using SIPO, which is the software, the project software, project management software that the district has implemented. It's streamlined most of our tasks, and when it comes to handling some of these projects, where if the project is submitted to the district, the contractor can get in there and they can provide submittals, they can issue RFIs, and they can also submit on the potential change orders that we can actually accept or reject depending upon what that looks like. And all the drawings and all that process is just going through one software, one channel, rather than going through emails and just physical paperwork. That's all I have. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Ralph Copeland, Copperopolis. First, thank you, Kevin, for using that money to look for our leaks. That's pretty smart. Pretty good. Glad you were able to figure that out. I mean that in a good way.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, that's way cool. Regarding the CV and the bond issue, is there a time limit with the bond? Do they have to use it in a certain amount of time? If anyone knows that question or answer. Is the money dedicated to these two projects, or can CV use the 12 million within their footprint. I also understand Mazingo has already been designated contractor for the project. And after project plans and specs are approved by CCWD, will they be available online for public viewing? So, okay,
Yeah, the money can only be used for, there's money designated for Reed's Turnpike and money designated for the force main and lift station. Before any of those draws come out, we have to sign off on it, so they can't draw any money out till we sign. And then as far as who's doing the force main, I don't know. I think we mentioned earlier that Moyle Construction is under contract with CV for the Reed's Turnpike. I think the design for the lift station is not at a point where contractors could bid on it yet. So I think they're probably waiting for that. And they have, because it's public money, there's a process they have to go through to award contracts. It's not like a typical developer. They have to solicit multiple proposals. And so they have there's a process they have to go through to select the contractors. Is that all the questions or?
oh yeah, after the plans and specs are approved by you guys, will they be put online so we can take a look at it? Public viewing.
Yeah, I mean, we can make them available. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we put them because they're kind of a developer project, so they wouldn't necessarily go on our website, but I'm sure we can get you access to them if you're interested.
Any other public comment? Okay, general manager?
The only comment I have is I'm pretty sure this is Juan's last engineering committee meeting with us. Is that correct? Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot here, Juan. I should have checked with you in
Right, I
advance.
was gonna mention
but,
something afterwards, but yeah, so directors, this will be my last week with the district. I'm gonna start my employment with TUD on the other side of the river, so.
That's for what?
Thank you. It's my family, as I was talking to, director earlier, we just had a baby and he's 5 weeks old and my other kid is 25 weeks, 25 months old. So between the two, they're keeping us pretty busy and my wife working full time, it just makes it challenging to be able to manage daycares and yeah, it's I'm nervous and sad to leave because I like it here and I like the people I work with and
I don't think we're gonna let any of the engineers go unless they brought a replacement.
We're probably still not gonna let him go. We haven't told them yet. Yeah, we're gonna bar the doors on Fridays. Well, good luck, Juan. We appreciate you.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your help here. Anything else there, Michael?
That's it.
All right, do you have any comments, sir?
I'm gonna miss Juan. He's been a bright light around here. Doggone it.
All right, I have nothing else to comment on. See our next committee member September 1st. Have a lot going. Is that the deal?
That's the beginning of hunting season. Will you be here?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right now. It looks like I'm gonna be hunting on my front porch. But okay, thank you, everybody. The meeting's adjourned.